Hello, everybody. Okay, today we are going to be talking about syllable division, and this one is kind of a long one, so hang in there with me today. Because we are going to be talking about really just all of them, and we may need to stop and focus a little bit more on a specific syllable part, but this is just kind of an overview of all of them. So remember, as we build through our mastery skills, we're going to be using these in a lot of different ways. So today we're just going to be having kind of an overview of syllable division. So what is it? We're splitting words to bring them back together. So let's get moving on it. First thing we need to know is what is a syllable. Super important. If we're splitting syllables or doing syllable division, we need to know what a syllable is. So syllables are sounds we hear in each and every word. And so I want you to just clap different parts of words. So we have syllables in our name. My name's A cuff. I have two syllables, a cuff. And we know that there is at least one vowel in every syllable. So a cuff, I know there's at least two vowels. We might have vowel teams, silent letters, but I know there's at least two vowels in a cuff because I heard two snaps for two syllables. So let's take a look up here. I see dog, or I hear dog, one snap, dog, one syllable. And you can see that there's just one part there. And look at that, ironically, one vowel. I go to my next word, apple. Two snaps, two syllables. And ironically enough, look at that. One, two vowels. Ladybug. Three syllables, three vowels. A cuff must be onto something. Let's look down here. Salamander. Four vowels. One, two, three, four. I want you to go ahead and say your name, and I want you to snap or clap. I'm just snapping because I have my hand on the computer. I want you to clap or snap or stomp the parts of the syllables in your name. So I have a cuff. My dog's name is Zeus. My son's name is Houston. I want you to go ahead and clap the syllables in your name. Go ahead. Now do your last name. How many syllables did you have? Okay, so we'll have to figure out if you had at least that many vowels or if you have some sneaky extra vowels in there. Okay, so just like I talked about before, with the syllables, every syllable must have a vowel. So you can determine how many syllables a word has based on how many vowels are in that word. I'm just going to have to keep moving myself. That's okay. So a syllable may have two vowels if those vowels are a pair and one of them is silent. So I said Zeus. Zeus has one syllable. So based on this rule, Zeus sounds like he only has one vowel, but Zeus is actually spelled Z-E-U-S. So he has a vowel team in the middle of his name. So that's true. He has a vowel team in his name. So he has two vowels, but only one syllable. So that's where that rule comes into play. But typically speaking, you will know how many vowels it has based on how many syllables. So let's keep moving. So there's a bunch of different syllable types. There's 6 types of syllables found in words. 7 if you separate the vowel teams and the diphthongs. The biggest ones can be broken down into syllable types. Okay, so we have our closed and open syllables, and we hit hard on that one. We will go back to open and closed syllables all the time. Remember, we know if syllables are open and closed based off of if they have long or short vowels. We always use that. So this is really the most important one, is if something is an open or closed syllable. Remember, we'll talk a little bit more about that because they're coming up. And then we also have our vowel consonant E. That's our silent or our magic E syllables. Then we have our R controlled or our bossy R syllables. We have our vowel digraph or vowel team. And then we have our consonant LE. Then we have some patterns as well, but these are our syllable types. We're going to talk more about those, but keep those in your mind. This shows you just a little bit more of an example of how we would split those up. So before we were just showing you what they were, like where we would maybe box them or break them apart. This is showing you a little bit about where we would separate them at. Okay, so if you're looking for a specific one, you can pause it here and take a little closer look. So it'll show you specifically. Okay, we're going to keep moving on. We may come back if there's a specific one that we need to work on, or I may assign you one as well. Okay, move me back down. This is the one that we spend a ton of time on. You probably get sick and tired of open and closed syllables, but it's because we have to know this one super, super, super well. So we spend a ton of time on open and closed syllables. We start with closed syllables and then we move on to open syllables. But closed, remember, with our closed syllables, that's when we have a consonant at the end of the syllable. And that consonant prevents the vowel from saying its name. I go back. Thank you. I don't know why I just thanked myself. Sorry. The consonant prevents the vowel from saying its name. So it's a short vowel sound. So if you see a consonant at the end of the syllable, the vowel is going to say ah, ah, or and it has that short vowel sound. Okay. If the syllable ends in a vowel, then it doesn't have anything closing it off. Then it gets to say its name. The syllable's open. So then it's going to have the long vowel sound. It says its name. It'll say A, E, I, O, or U. This is super, super important because a lot of times when you're decoding words, some of you, if you don't know this rule, and this is the most important rule when you're figuring out words you don't know, you say the wrong vowel sound. And then it really confuses you. And so you hear me tell you, change your vowel sound. If you know this rule, then you don't have to have me tell you to change your vowel sound. So this is the one we have to master first. Okay, let's keep moving. So we have all of our syllable division rules right here. These just show you all the different ways that we can start to divide our syllables up. And so the yellow letters are our vowels, the blue ones are our consonants. Consonants are anything that are not our vowels, A, E, I, O, or U. Remember, this all plays off of our open and closed syllable words, these. So we have to know these if we want, and we do want to, be able to do this. Remember, this is how we can decode words super easily. And you want to be able to be an effective and an efficient reader and decoder. So you can move through figuring out unknown words very quickly. So we start at the top and we work our way through to more complex words that we don't know how to do. Okay, remember, I show this to you all the time. You even get this as a little mini anchor chart. These things have to stay together. These are mastery skills that we build upon. So we first learned our digraphs and then we learned about our blends. We worked our way through these, but these have to stay together. So when we're dividing our syllables up, we can't break up our digraphs. So our digraphs, these stay together. We can't split it up here. Our vowel teams stay together. We can't split these up. We keep our bossy R controlled vowels together. Same with our silent E, our blends, and our glued sounds. That's why we learn those mastery skills. So then when we find them in parts of words and then we're trying to divide our syllables, we know that we don't break them up. They stay together. This really just helps us break words up and decode words much faster. So when we know these rules, and I'm going to keep these up on a lot of our slides so you remember that these have to stay together. This will help you, again, decode much quicker. So one of our very first ones is VCV. And when you see V, know that stands for vowel. C stands for consonant. So we're going to break words up. This is our open and our closed syllable words. This is how we divide them. So if there's one letter between the vowels, remember when we have our syllable division strips and I have you highlight our vowels and I tell you put your fingers on your vowels and then find your consonants between, and you're going to divide with your string. This is exactly what we're doing. So you're finding your vowels and then you find the letter between, and this is where we have to decide open or closed. So you're going to move your letter between. So you have to figure out, there's these nice little anchor charts for you. Is it a tiger word or a camel word? Tiger is an open syllable word because it has that long vowel sound, I-ger, and camel is closed, am, camel. So you're going to find your vowels and split between. You move the letter to the right side of the word, and this leaves the first syllable open. And you check to see if it's a word. So if it is, yay, that's good. If it's not, then you move it to the other side. Remember how we did that with our string? And sometimes we're right the first time we do it, and sometimes we're not. And we learned that's okay. Not always going to be right the first time, but when you know the strategy, it's totally okay. So you find your vowels, and then you come and you divide. So you figure out, am I going to use a long vowel or a short vowel? Okay, if it's not a word, you have to move to the left and then make it closed. So right here, we're just deciding. So we decide this one's going to be open, bo. So we're going to make it go this way, us, nus, bonus. Great. We're going to look at this one. We're going to try it open first. Vi, it, sit, sit. Doesn't make sense. So let's try it again. Is, visit. Made sense. Sometimes we got to give it a second go. Let's keep moving. All right, our next one, we use this with compound words. This is our vowel, consonant, vowel team. These are also known as kitten words because we're going to find our two vowels and then we're going to come between and split them. This one's pretty easy, actually. We just have to find the two consonants between. And these were our compound words because a lot of times these were like catnip and baseball. A lot of those were our VCCV words. So they were super easy. So you're going to check to see if it's a compound word, but you're going to find your two vowels and then find your two consonants and then split them. Remember, if they have a digraft or a blend, you got to keep those together, okay? That's our only thing that we have to remember. So sometimes you can't split them here, okay? So if we have words like gather or secret, we can't split them down the middle. And that's where a little handy sheet of rules of what stay together come in handy. Because if we tried to break it up by doing gat, her, for gather, it wouldn't make any sense. So remember what stays together. That's why you have your little pocket anchor chart of what stays together. Okay. So we're telling you just by how to do it. You're going to find your vowels, always. We always find our vowels. And then you're going to start to split them apart. Look for any of our rules. Are there blends? Are there digraphs? Are there bossy R's? What needs to stay together? If there aren't any, then all you have to do is divide your consonants, and then you're going to solve. And then that way you have to decide open or closed syllables. If there wasn't anything that needed to stay together, then you just solve it. Ass, bass, et, ket, basket. There are some exceptions. Remember, we just talked about it. You got to look to find for those things that stay together. Digraphs, vowel teams. So things like this. This word is rocket. CK stays together. So we can't split it apart. So then it needs to go with it. Remember, each part has to have a vowel. So you got to make sure that you don't leave a consonant by itself. Every syllable has to have a vowel. Okay, next, moving on, we have our silent or our magic E. Remember when we had our little wands out and we added it to it and we made that little magical sound? That magic E is silent, but it gives the power to the vowel and it makes it say its name. And so just like we did in class, we have to make sure that we keep it all together. So when a syllable has the pattern vowel, consonant, silent E, the E will be silent and the vowel will make it long sound. That has to stay together though. So sometimes you will see that in the middle of a word, but it'll usually be at the end. But remember, it has to stay together. So be looking for that part. So you're always looking for your vowels, and then you're going to divide it. Okay, next one is our Bossy or our R-controlled vowels. Same, a syllable with a vowel, then an R, where the R controls the vowel sound. Those have to stay together. Remember when we boxed them, all of our Bossy R's, we boxed them in together? They have to stay together. So always be looking for those. We can't split them up. So make sure that when you're dividing syllables, they stay together. Our vowel teams. Make sure that a syllable with two vowels that make one sound stay together when you're dividing your syllables up. And I have that in the anchor chart above my picture. That is one of the things that we have to remember. Okay, so we have the word rainbow. I know sometimes we're thinking that if we have all those different vowels, I should have I should have 4 syllables there. But our vowel teams stay together. So it's just rainbow. So keep them together. Okay, diphthongs. Sometimes they also go with vowel teams, but a syllable where 2 letters make one sound. Okay, so we talked about how vowel teams sometimes are called letter combinations because AW sometimes gets grouped in with vowel teams, but W really isn't a vowel. And it doesn't really fit the rule because AW says ah, and it doesn't really say, it doesn't do the first vowel does the walking, second vowel does the talking. So this is technically a diphthong, but it goes with the vowel team rule. So do you see it up there? Vowel teams stay together. It's the same thing. That also stays together. So like in the word couch, OU, it stays just like that. So remember that diphthongs also stay together with vowel teams. So you notice probably a lot of those ones you see on your vowel team chart, and they get grouped in. So sometimes they don't get taught with their own separate section. Okay, we have our consonant LE. I know you see that little plus sign. Consonant just means it's a letter, anything that's not a vowel that then also has LE. So if a word ends with any consonant and then LE, the syllable is always unaccented. Remember we talked about our schwa sound? That's why we had to go back and review that. It's always unaccented. Remember it has that sound? You can't hear the vowel sound like puddle, turtle. So it's going to have that schwa sound. Whenever we have that consonant with the LE, it's unaccented. You can't hear the vowel sound. That has to stay together. That's a syllable division rule. So remember your pro tip. When you come to that and you're not really sure where to divide, you're going to look at that E, count back 3, and you're dividing there. That's your very easiest way to divide it. I promise you, okay? Then you're going to look for if it's open or closed. Remember, we need open or closed syllables all the time. That's why it's super, super important to know our vowel sounds and if it's open or closed. All right, next we're moving on to monster words. So this is V, C, 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 V. We're building up all that in the middle. It's called monster because if you noticed, the O in monster is a vowel, and then there's 3 consonants and then another vowel. Okay. Now there's a few different ways that you can break up VCCCV words. You can break it up VC/CCV like monster, or you can break it up VCC/CV like bathtub. So monster words can divide after the first consonant or after the first 2 consonants. So you have to look for digraphs or consonant blends to help you figure out where to divide the syllables. You have to keep the digraphs and blends together, just like we've always talked about. So if a word has 3 consonants between the vowels, it usually goes to the left, and 2 go to the right, but we never split up digraphs or glued sounds. So we have conflict above. So we have to be careful about how we break it up. All right, so you're always going to be looking for blends, digraphs, and what needs to stay together. Remember, we have some exceptions. Compound words. Who would have thought? You got to find your vowels. Remember, we always talk about finding our vowels first. Super important. We have to know open, closed, where do we divide? Check to see if it's a compound word. So, typically speaking, we're looking for blends and digraphs, but this is the word handbag. So I had to separate the two words, and then I read the two words, and then I blend it back together. So hand, bag, handbag. Did you notice too in hand, ND is an ending blend. So that should have also been another helpful hint for you because we learned about ending blends already. Okay, here's another exception. We have to keep the digraphs and the blends together. So find your vowels, check to make sure it's not a compound word. Split your vowels apart to show each syllable with a vowel. You're going to count the consonants between your vowels and check for digraphs and blends. And then you find a syllable side for the middle consonants. Since the first two consonants make up a blend, you have to keep those together. Remember, MP is an ending blend, just like the other one was too. But in this case, because technically sometimes people say pum, they might want to say pumpkin. We have to remember that what part stays together, okay? So we know that the MP, that's another ending blend like jump, pump, dump. That's a blend that has to stay together. So again, ending blends count too. It's not just beginning blends. Keep those together. All right. Ooh, we just did 3 consonants. We're adding it into 4. I told you we're building. That's why our mastery skills are super important. Now we're up to 4 consonants. V, C, 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 V. When there are 4 and even 5, but we only put 4 on there. When there are 4 or 5 letters between vowels, we have to do a 1, 2, or 3 split to keep 3 letter blends together. Remember our cluster blends? We learned those near the beginning of our mastery skills. We learned those right after our blends. Our 3-letter cluster blends are like THR, like thur, like throw, or SQU, like squa, like square or Squidward, or STR, like stir, like strawberry. We keep those together unless it's a compound word first, okay? So we'll start to get kind of big. All right, so we have our rules. Find your vowels. Ooh, look at that word, that's big, but we can solve it. Check to make sure it's not a compound word, and then we split the vowels apart, we split the vowels apart to show each syllable with a vowel. Remember, we have to have 1 vowel per syllable. We count the consonants between the vowels, make sure it's not a compound word, and then we find the syllable sides for the consonants. We have to move 1 to the left and then 3 to the right. I know STR is a consonant cluster blend. It's stir, like strawberry. So I know that's going to the right. It's going to go stir, uct, struck. Ooh, CT, that's an ending blend. So I know that has to stay together. Wasn't worried about that one anyways because it had to stay with it. So then I'm going to read the first syllable. And I know it's a closed first syllable because it's an ending consonant. So it's going to on construct. We solved it like a pro. There are some exceptions because of course there are. You have to find your vowels and check to see if it's a compound word, and it was. This was withstand. So typically, remember we said it was going to be 1 and 3 or 3 and 1, but it might be 2 and 2 if it's a compound word. So, but what do we see? TH is a digraph. ST is a blend. So they had to stay together. We couldn't break them up. And it happened that it was a compound word. So then we read each syllable and we blend it back together. Withstand. Okay, we did it. We whipped right through that. Now we have learned just very quickly. We went through all of them. We went through all of our syllable division rules. Now, we've been doing this all year long. We're going to be doing our syllable division strips. So I'm going to be giving you a set of syllable division strips based on the level that you're ready for. So some of you might be ready for open and closed syllable ones, or camel and lion ones. I'm sorry, tiger and camel ones. Some of you might be ready for our consonant LE ones. Some of you might be ready for our vowel team ones. Some of you might be ready for monster ones. Some of you might be ready for our 4 and 5 consonant ones. It'll depend. So you're going to be getting syllable division strips sent to you. That'll just be depending on what level you're on and what we've been working on. So I know we went through a bunch of these. Remember, all of the syllable division strips that you get sent have the rules for what we've been working on, and it has directions, and it has the steps of what you need to do. But remember what we talk about and what we do in group. You always highlight and find your vowels first, and then you bring your fingers into your consonants and you divide. You might not be right the first time. You might have to try it again, and that's okay. So you're going to be getting your syllable division strips for the level that's right for you for right now. And I want you to go ahead and complete those. All right. So I know we breezed right through that super, super fast. We learned through all of them. But remember, we have to learn all of these because they're just building and building and building so you can get better at your decoding. And I know you're going to. So be looking for your syllable division strips so you can be working on those, and send me back how you divided up your syllable division strips. All right.